In this video, I will show you the complete playbook for implementing organizational change management the right way. After Steve Jobs retired and Tim Cook became CEO of Apple, I was brought in as a change management consulting lead to establish Apple's first ever business to business change management practice. Since then, I have led large scale transformations at Cisco, Microsoft, Intel, Gap, Yale University, and other organizations. And one question that comes up again and again is what are the best strategies for increasing change adoption projects, programs, and initiatives? So, this is the free downloadable change management strategic playbook that we have put together for project managers, change managers, project teams, change management resources and practitioners, leaders, and also stakeholders that are interested in applying the best change management strategies to increase project successes. When you access this document, at the end of this video, I will show you how to download this document. When you access this document, you want to go to where it says Start Here. And the way we have broken this document is to literally take you step by step through the change management journey. This document is provided to you, and you are more than welcome to customize it as much as you want. We recommend that you conduct a first round of change management assessments in order for you to ground your strategies in real organizational context. You want to conduct a risk assessment to identify where resistance is currently impacting your organization or potential areas where resistance might come up. You also want to do a change impact assessment so you can understand for each project which groups are going to be impacted. You want to do a communication needs assessment so you can determine the right audience to communicate with, the objectives of your communications, the right channel to use. You also want to do a training needs assessment to understand training gaps between the current state and also the future state. You also want to identify champions as well as a broader base of sponsors for your project. And then customize this playbook based on the findings from your assessments. So, for example, you notice we say here, tailor your communication channels, timing, and content to match your audience. We have provided you with best communication channels. We have provided you with best timing. We've also provided you with best content, but it has to be customized based on your change assessments and your audience. Okay. We've also provided you, in addition to the strategic playbook, we have provided you with free checklists. The checklists are embedded within the strategic playbook. And when you get to this slide, you see the URL for you to access the Word document and also the PDF version of the step-by-step checklist for completing the different components of organizational change management. We've also included an instruction slide. So when you access this document, you notice on the top right, we have the OCMS logo. You can remove that. You can replace that with your organization's logo. It's okay. There will also be different sections within the document that includes sample slides, sample data, and you can obviously replace those with specific slides, specific charts, specific images for your organization. You don't have to use the sample images like this one that we are looking at here on this slide. You don't have to use those. Okay. Now, a key function of a change management strategic playbook is for you to socialize it with your leadership, with your stakeholders to say, here are our strategies for how we plan to do change management for this project or for that program. The difference between a change management strategy and a change management plan is this. A change management strategy says, we are going to do something. We are going to do communications. We are going to do a hybrid communication. How you do that hybrid communication, this step by step, is a change management plan. Leadership are more interested in seeing and hearing about your change management strategies, aka what are the things you are going to do, more so than they are to see your step by step plan, which is why this document is important for you to be able to socialize it with your leaders and your stakeholders. Now, let's jump into the playbook. All of the slides we just went over are information for you. When you are sharing this with your stakeholders, you can delete all of those slides. Here is the strategic playbook. The strategic playbook starts out with this slide here that outlines your strategies. And then the following slides go into detail in regards to the individual strategies. For your communication strategy, you want to apply a multi-pronged approach, as well as a multi-pronged channels to communicate with stakeholders. So you literally want to tell your leaders, let me repeat this. You want to say this to your leaders. The change management team will apply a multi-pronged approach and channels to communicate with stakeholders to ensure they are informed, engaged, and aligned with the change objectives. Whenever I say that to leadership in almost any organization, they know they are ahead because I am speaking their language. What I just said is succinct, and it also covers what the change team will do in regards to change management. Now, let's talk about engagement strategy. Your engagement strategy should involve applying a robust engagement strategy that includes roadshows, town halls, and briefings. It can also include meetings as well as one-on-one sessions or group meetings. It can also involve asking leaders, directors, senior directors, VPs, presidents, can you, and this is me talking like you, can you invite us to your all hands so we can present information about this change? Most leaders will be more than happy to give you time during their all hands. They might say, well, the next all hands, we don't really have any available time, but the one after that, we can give you 5 or 10 minutes. If you cannot wait, you can say, well, can you just give a call out to let the audience know that this change is coming? That's engagement strategy. Let us now discuss resistance management, which is risk and opposition mitigation strategy. You want to tell your leaders that you and the team will apply a proactive and a reactive resistance management activities and plan. You want to tell them that your resistance management will involve stakeholder engagement and conversations, feedback loops. So, for example, talking to champions and gathering feedback as to resistance that they might be experiencing or resistance that might happen in the future. Another part of your strategy that you want to communicate to your leaders is sponsor engagement strategy. You want to tell them this. Let me just read it. I don't normally like to read things word for word, but let me just read it here. Our strategy emphasizes evaluating sponsor visibility and involvement by identifying and leveraging opportunities such as town halls, summits, videos, podcasts, and all hands meetings. Enabling sponsors to actively present, connect with stakeholders, and champion the change initiatives. This is very important because a lot of times what we see is a sponsor just feels His or her job or their job is to sign the check on a project. No, we need our executive sponsors to play a visible role in communicating and advocating for the change. So you need a strategy for your sponsor. This is very, very important. A lot of you watching this video right now do not have and have not thought about or even considered a sponsor strategy. Please do. Okay. And when you access this document, it gives you literally step by step on the different slides that cover sponsor engagement. It gives you step by step as to how to go about convincing your sponsor to play a more active role. Another strategies you want to communicate to your leadership is this: change champion network. Your strategies will involve identifying champions, establishing a network, and managing the champions by providing them with hands-on support, communications, and equipping them to communicate the changes. You also want to tell your leadership that part of your overall strategy will involve change management matrix, a change management matrix tracking and management strategy. There are OCM metrics and KPIs that you want to ensure that you are tracking. One of the questions that helps you determine those change management metrics and KPIs is this: what does success look like? That's not for you. If you're the change practitioner, that's not for you to answer. It's the project manager, the program manager, the sponsor that have to communicate to you. Here is what success looks like for this engagement. Organizational change management is basically a mechanism for increasing the success of a program or a project. I normally compare it to an insurance, to ensuring that the project is successful. Without effective change management, projects run into resistance and they fail. Without effective change management, people say we don't have the awareness about this communication, about this project. The first time we heard about this project was when we received an invite to training. That's a mistake a lot of project and program teams make, where they don't do effective change management. And so ensure that the change practitioners, the project practitioners, the sponsors, and the key stakeholders, they are all talking and having alignment about what does success look like for this project. And whenever I say project, it could also be a program, it could be an initiative, it could be what you refer to a change within your organization. Some organizations use one of those terms or the other. They call the project. Some call it programs. Some call it initiative. So you want to really speak people's language by using the term that is right for you. But for the purpose of today's demo, I will continue to refer to them as collectively as projects. Another strategy that you want to communicate to your leadership for each project is that you will implement learning, training, and interactive engagement with people. What you are looking at here is the portfolio of change management strategies. Is every single one applicable to every single project? No. When I coach change managers or I coach project managers that are interested in change management, I normally give them the lay of the land, which is basically what I just gave to you. And then I coach them to say, for every project, based on the impact assessment that you do, based on the communication needs assessment that you do based on the resistance management assessment that you do. Based on your various change assessments, you can better determine whether a project will require detailed training or can you just send out helpful resources, helpful FAQs. Based on the project and the number of people that will be impacted, you might realize that you don't need a change champion network. Based on the number of people that are impacted, you might realize that you don't really need to do any engagement. As well as based on what is being implemented, you might realize that only one communication will suffice. Or you might realize that 50 different communications over 12 months need to go out. So the way you want to consider everything that I have said so far and everything that I will say for the rest of this video is I am providing you with the tools to end-to-end organizational change management. It is up to you and up to your project for you to decide which one of these you will take from the toolkit to apply to your project. Does that make sense? Perfect. All right, let's move on. Change management successes. Here are some key things that contribute to effective successes with implementing a change. Doing a change impact assessment, doing an organizational readiness assessment. How ready is the organization for the change? Doing other change assessments also are very helpful. Communications is super important, and that can involve emails, newsletters, FAQs, and other types of channels. Interactive engagement is also communication. People normally ask me, hey, Obi, what is the difference between communications and interactive engagement? If they are both communications, what are the differences? Well, communication really are things that you normally send out via emails or newsletters. Interactive engagement is a way of interactively communicating a change. So during a town hall, you are communicating the same message that you normally will communicate via email. But this time around, people have the opportunity to ask questions, to express concerns, or to make requests. The same thing with workshops. Something else is change playbooks, which is what we are going over right here, this strategic playbook, as well as step-by-step plans, training and briefings. So even if you realize that the project does not require people to be trained, oftentimes when I have a project that doesn't require hands-on training, I often have to do briefings where I schedule maybe a 60-minute session and people can join, and then I just go over what is changing. You also want to track your change successes, and we talked about that earlier. Very quickly, here is the 5 stages of how people transition through change. It is actually based on the PROSA ADCA. People need awareness, and awareness really involves things like explaining the benefits. Why is the change happening? What's the risk of not changing? What are the next steps? You also need to help people build desire. Desire is somebody's willingness, a lot of times subconsciously, to accept and embrace a change versus resisting the change. To help with desire, I ensure that I communicate the WIFM. WIFM is WIIFM, what's in it for me. It is human nature to always think and ask, what's in it for me? So ensure that you identify the WIFM for your project and you communicate that via town halls, meetings, roadshows, one-on-ones. You also want to make your project come across as a partnership. People want change to happen with them, not to them. You also want to personalize the change to make sure that if you're sending out a communication that impacts a change that impacts different departments, one size does not fit all. Where possible, customize each of those communications. So one is going to the different to sales. In the sales communication, use language that will resonate with sales. If you have a communication going to IT, use IT language that resonates with IT. If you have a communication going to product, supply chain, legal, compliance, try to customize those communications. Another thing is knowledge. People want knowledge. So after they have awareness and they've decided to support the change, they now have a desire, you need to educate them. That can involve training, briefings, FAQs, office hours, as well as coaching. The next level to the change journey is ability, which I refer to as proficiency. People need time to practice. So you want to follow up with them. You want to continue to provide office hours, provide FAQs, and also support. And then you want to reinforce the change by tracking adoption, continuing to follow up. Do people need additional training? If so, provide that to them. Do they need additional coaching? If so, provide that to them. Do they need additional office hours? If so, provide that to them. Continue to measure and adjust your change management strategies based on the level of adoption. Here is an issue that I normally see when organizations hire me to do change management for them as a change management consultant. You have so many projects happening at the same time. But that's not just the problem. The main problem is this. A lot of the project and change management teams are using a siloed approach, just focus on their project, not realizing or not even thinking of the fact that they are all impacting the same audience. And so, in this particular case, you see here that there was all of this project and they're all sending out communications, engagement, road shows, training, almost all at the same time. Here's the problem with this. It leads to people feeling bombarded by so many different communications coming from different angles, so many different training invites, so many engagement invites. It leads to change fatigue. It leads to a feeling of people feeling overwhelmed and also change saturation. All of this together increases resistance. People disengage. And in some cases, I've seen within different organizations that people actually leave the organization just because they feel it's too much, the number of changes that are happening. What we are looking at here is the level of change saturation across a wide range of organizations, including your own organization. When I get hired as a change management consultant to do change management, I normally start out by doing a change saturation assessment. This picture that we are looking at here is a similar picture that I see again and again and again across different types of organizations and different industries. Vice presidents are currently experiencing between a high to a very high level of change saturation, meaning that there are many projects that are calling for the attention and impacting VPs. Senior directors are currently experiencing a saturation level between mid to high. So they are also being impacted by many projects, but not as high as VPs. Directors are experiencing a higher level of change saturation more so than senior directors. If you were to do a change saturation assessment today, and I can actually coach you on how to do that, this picture that we are looking at here is what you most likely will get for your own organization. Senior managers are experiencing between a mid to a high level change saturation across a lot of organizations. Managers, supervisors, and mid-level managers, they're all experiencing between high and very high level of change saturation. Frontline employees, they're experiencing between high and very high level change saturation. Individual contributors, that can be considered non-frontline employees. They are experiencing between mid to a high level of change saturation. Interns, they have the best level of change saturation in that they are experiencing between low to a mid-level change saturation. This picture is important for every organization because a lot of the change management activities and project activities that you are doing will be impacting these different personas. So knowing that directors are experiencing a high to a very high level change saturation, and now you want to add more changes that they have to adopt, knowing this picture that we are looking at here will now allow you to develop the right strategy to go engage with directors, to go engage with VPs, to go engage with managers, supervisors, mid-level managers, frontline employees. And just to jump ahead here, one of the best strategies for engaging with personas and people that are experiencing high to very high level change saturation is to be intentional. Meaning, whenever you are sending out a communication or you want to schedule one more meeting, take a step back and think, are there existing meetings you can leverage to talk to the same audience versus you adding one more meeting to their calendar? That's just one of many effective strategies that I coach change management team about, that I coach change practitioners and also project practitioners. Many years ago, Intel hired me to coach and improve the change efficiency of the entire change management supply chain team. Now, let's talk about something else. Departments. What you are looking at here are currently today, including at your organization, how departments are currently experiencing change saturation, especially with the implementation of AI. A lot of organizations are implementing Microsoft M365 Copilot AI. Organizations are implementing CRM and ERP AI. Not just AI, even the platforms and the software like Salesforce, like Oracle Cloud, like SAP S4HANA. A lot of organizations are transforming how they do business. What we are looking at here on this slide is really the level of change saturation for human resources, which is very high. For finance and accounting, is between a high to a very high level of change saturation. Marketing, operations, IT, sales, they are all experiencing very high level of change saturation, meaning that these groups that are experiencing very high will most likely be groups that you will identify are resisting your changes. And so take a look at the change management strategies for mitigating resistance to help you engage with these groups. And this is where individuals and companies, they normally ask me, Obi, based on this level of change saturation that are impacting my organization, what can we do? In addition to applying the best change management practices that I've included in this strategic playbook, I also recommend a centralized change management office, which acts as a control tower to help land and take off all of the different projects that are impacting the same audiences across the organization. Establishing a centralized change management office are things that I have done for a lot of organizations in different industries. And that brings us to the individual sections of this strategic playbook. The first one is the impacted audience strategy section. And for this one, we recommend conducting a change impact assessment, which is different from a change saturation. I see people asking what's the difference between a change saturation and a change impact. A change impact is how one project or a change is impacting an audience. One. A change saturation is how collectively many changes and projects are impacting the same audience. That's change saturation. For your project, we're talking at the individual project level now. You want to do a change impact assessment. For communications, we recommend you implement a hybrid communication that involves a top-down and a bottom-up approach. With the top-down, you are providing leaders with communications to cascade. With the bottom-up, you, the change team and the project team, you are sending up communication. Here is a visual of the top-down. So the change and the project program team, they pass communication to leaders and they say, please cascade this to your departments. Bottom up is you have the change and the program team, as well as the champions, sending communication up to pretty much all impacted users. The hybrid approach is what I normally recommend when delivering change management for large organizations. When putting together your communication strategy, you also want to have a slide like this one that you can present to leadership as to the different channels that you are going to be using for communicating your messaging. In addition, we've included within the strategic playbook your communication approach for you to consider. Let's talk about engagement. Engagement is really the interactive component of communicating a change. For engagement, we recommend having a two-way communication channel where you are talking to people and also soliciting feedback. This helps to build trust. This helps you to overcome resistance. For engagement channels, you can have a kickoff event where you invite impacted users to attend a briefing. And during that briefing, you just go over at a high level what the project is all about. I also recommend you do focused briefings to targeted departments that have a higher level impact. Briefings is different from training. It is very important that you explain the difference to people that are impacted by the change. You want to tell them, this briefing is for us to go at a high level what is changing, the driving factors for the change, what the roadmap is. Within that roadmap could be training. So you want to let them know the purpose of this briefing is to give you the lay of the land. Weeks from now or months from now, we will provide you with hands-on training. Very important for you to tell your audiences that. Roadshows is something else we recommend where you conduct virtual sessions, so it could be in-person sessions. Doing town halls is another way you can leverage existing channels. So if your organization or a department has town halls that they do, or congresses that they do, or all hands that they do, you want to leverage those for communicating your change. Feedback sessions where you engage with small groups is another one. Change champion meetings, stakeholder roundtables, drop-in support calls where people can join the call, ask questions, and when they have those questions answered, they can hop off the call. You also want to include your engagement channels so you can present to your leadership, here are the different channels that we are going to be using for engaging with impacted users. The strategic playbook also contains a section for managing resistance. And here we go over at a high level how you want to communicate to your leaders your plan for managing resistance, which should include a proactive and also a reactive strategy. A proactive approach to mitigating resistance means you are asking champions, you are asking SMEs, you're asking stakeholders within the department, where can we expect resistance to show up as we implement this project? Reactive approach is you already know resistance exists, and now you are reacting and implementing strategies to manage those resistance. The next section is sponsor engagement. So many times when I do change management consulting for my clients, I see sponsors believing that all they have to do is sign the check for a project. No, we need sponsors to play a visible and advocate role for the project they are being sponsors for. But we have to coach them, we have to equip them. And so we have this section here, the strategy for you to implement for supporting your sponsor and letting your sponsor know here are the different channels where we would like you to go talk about the changes, where we would like you to go provide a few commentaries about the changes or about the project. And then the next section within the change management playbook is the change champion network strategy. Depending on the scope and the scale of your project, you normally will have to identify, establish, and manage champions. So here we provided you with kind of a checklist and a table for the different activities that you have to do. And then we have the strategies, the change management strategies for KPIs and also metrics. Here we've included some key strategies for you to leverage to track adoption. So for example, when you send out emails, you can track how many people are opening the emails. What is the engagement rate? What is the click-through rate on links that you've included? Doing surveys is another one. Unfortunately, a lot of organizations are suffering from survey fatigue, including your organization. So when you send out a survey via email, you don't normally get as much responses anymore as you used to get many, many years ago. There was a solution to that. When you are having a meeting or a training or a town hall or an all hands, during that meeting, share your screen and tell people to click on a link to complete 5 or 6 or 7 questions in a survey. You have a captive audience, and that is the best time to ask them to complete a survey more so than sending out the survey via email. Another way to survey individuals is the post-training survey. So after they've completed a training, if it's an LMS, meaning a web-based training, you should include a survey at the very end that they have to complete before they exit the training. If it's an in-person training, most people have their laptop in front of them when they are doing a training. So just send a link towards the end of the training and say, hey, everyone, before we exit today's training, please complete these 5 or 6 questions. You also want to review your engagement KPIs, right? How many people are attending your event? What is the participation rate? Meaning, on average, how many people are speaking up, are asking questions, are part of the conversation? Using focus groups for your change management success KPIs and matrix tracking is another big one, where you select champions or small groups of employees and you ask them questions. Podcasts and videos, when you send those out, you also want to track number of views or how many people are listening, average watch time, and there are other information you can track. Website. We recommend you have a change management website to include training resources, FAQs, and other communications. How many people are visiting your website? Track that as part of your change management KPI and matrix tracking. And there is more. You also want to track how effective your your stakeholder support are, and also change resistance matrix. So basically identifying whether resistance is dropping, whether resistance is increasing. So when you access this document, it gives you end-to-end all of the different change management KPIs and metrics for you to consider. Let's very quickly talk about training. Not every project requires training. That's something for you to keep in mind. But if your project includes training or will include training, you want to mention that as part of your end-to-end strategies. Doing a training needs assessment allows you to determine which impacted groups require training, what kind of training do they require. It also helps you identify how departments and groups like to receive training. Some departments like LMS, which is basically web. Some departments like virtual or in-person training session. So make sure you are asking these questions when doing your training needs assessment. And then oftentimes it helps to have training for employees and training for managers, just because the job functions are normally are different. Okay. And as part of your strategy, which is what we are looking at here, we normally recommend classroom sessions, hands-ons, and also e-learning modules. So when you are customizing this playbook for your different projects, you can remove some of the things here. For example, you might realize that it's a small project you're about to deliver next, and classroom session is not necessary. E-learning modules is not necessary. Hands-on maybe, or even just sending out an FAQ might suffice. So in that case, you can delete these method sections here, remove these 3 bullet points, and just put FAQs or just put resources. This change management strategic playbook has been created for you, and you can customize it as much as you like. Training for leaders is another one that we recommend. So here you have training for employees, training for managers, and training for leaders. Also implementing a feedback mechanism, a feedback loop for your training effectiveness. And when needed, conduct additional training, conduct additional refreshers to prepare people for the rollout. So whether you are leading an organizational change management transformation, implementing a new system, or guiding employees through process changes, a structured organizational change management approach is essential. And that is why we have created the free change management strategic playbook designed to help leaders, project managers, and change management practitioners to drive successful change implementation with confidence. Now I know a lot of you are asking, well, how can we access all of these free change management templates and the playbook? I want everyone to follow along. Here is how you get access. Click on the link that is to the right of the free trial all-in-one change management software. The link is below this video. When you click on that all-in-one change management free trial link, it will bring you to this page. First thing is this: we are giving you and everyone else watching this video a free 14-day trial. After you create an account, you can also add your colleagues for them to also access this platform, download the free resources, and also try out the platform to see if it is something your organization will benefit from. You want to go ahead and enter your first name, enter your last name, enter your email. Phone number, you can leave blank. It is really for two-way factor authentication. Enter your company name or just your last name, and then enter your first project name. A lot of times people just enter first project, which is fine. And then click on I am not a robot. Now I know and I assume you are not a robot, but go ahead and click here anyway. And then click on start my free trial. Okay, and here we go. So when it creates your account, it will bring you to the main dashboard. What you want to do is on the left, scroll to where it says free resources. Click on that. And it will bring you to this free resources page. As you can see, we have over 100 free resources for change managers, for project managers, and change management teams. For the purpose of today's video, you want to scroll down to where it says OCM Playbooks, this one here. Click on it. And here you will see the playbook for a strategic playbook for just regular change management. And you will see the strategic playbook for AI implementation. You can click on these two playbooks are very similar. So you can click on either one of them to download. And then I get people asking, hey, Obi, what about the other free resources? You can download every single one, right? So for example, let's go up here to communications. You notice we have many sample communications that you can send out to provide awareness. You can send out follow-up communications, communications to managers to request champions, invitations to kickoffs, many communications. What about engagements and briefings? We also have free resources that you can download. Change impact assessment, we have free templates for you to download. Change roadmaps, we also have those that provide step-by-step all your different change management activities, as well as the timeline for implementing those activities. Tracking, change management, strategic KPIs, we have free resources. When a change management team is done with the project, there is normally that exit and transition phase. We've also provided you with resources for all of those. Change champions, we provided you with invitations, we provided you with awareness communications, we provided you with all of the different things you need to identify champions, kick off the champion network, and also manage the champion network. What about managers and leaders? We provided you with free resources to support and also coach managers and leaders to help them be effective change agents. Here is how you can add other members of your team. You click on user management and it will bring you here. It will show you one user, which is you. Here, where it says create user, you want to click on it. And for your free trial, you can add up to 9 additional people. So for the free trial, 10 people per account. If you all decide to subscribe, then you can have unlimited number of people added to your account. To invite somebody, just add their first name, their last name, their email, the user role. You can select admin, so they can do everything except manage subscription. So if you guys decide to subscribe, admins are not able to subscribe on behalf of the team. So you might want to consider making 1 or 2 people account owners. There can be multiple account owners. There can be multiple admins. Enter a username for your team members. So for example, if you have somebody called Jane Doe and you enter the email, so let's say Jane Doe's email is jane@yourcompany.com, and you want to make Jane Doe admin. The username for Jane Doe could be Jane1123, okay? Or it could be Jane.Doe.123. And then you can enter Jane Doe's title, or you can leave it blank. So it could be change manager, or you can leave it blank, and then click on create user. And then you add the next user and the next user and the next user. So that is how you add users to your account. That way, other members of your team can access this change management software and get value from it. So we provided you at a high level all of the different things you need to know to deliver effective change management for your organization. So go ahead and watch the next video and continue to increase your success. And don't forget to like this video so I know that you found it valuable. And by liking this video, the algorithm will recommend the video to others. That way more people can find value from this change management strategic playbook video. And also don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content.